Hi.
Hello, everyone. In the last segment, Ray was going over the vote that would result in the retention of the old policy in respect to alternative service, and expressing his disappointment, nay dismay, at the fact that the vote of one man, Lloyd Barry, resulted, change vote we should add, the change vote of one man, Lloyd Barry, resulted in the retention of this policy, which would cost hundreds of Jehovah's Witnesses and their families much of their future. He goes on page 269 of In Search of Christian Freedom, surely such instances make clear why no Christian should ever be expected to, and I like this phrase, mortgage his conscience to any religious organization, or to any body of men exercising virtually unlimited authority over people's lives. I found the whole affair disheartening, tragic, yet I felt that I learned more clearly just to what ends the very nature of an authority structure can lead men, how it can cause them to take rigid positions they would not normally take. This case illustrated the way in which the power of tradition, coupled with a technical legalism and a mistrust of people's motives, can prevent one from taking a compassionate stand.
The matter came up one more time and the vote was evenly split. Therefore it was dropped, and for most members it seemed to become a non-issue. The organization, following its voting rules, had spoken. The branch committee arguments need not be answered. They could simply be informed that nothing had changed, and they would proceed accordingly. The men in prison would never know that the matter was even discussed, and that, consistently, half or more of the governing body did not believe they needed to be where they were.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Illustrating the frequent flaw of inconsistency found in such reasoning is the way a parallel issue was later handled. It originated in Belgium, the country from which the whole issue of alternative service had arisen. The Belgian branch office asked for a ruling on another issue. Belgian law provided for the selecting and assigning of certain persons, generally attorneys, to serve at voting locations during political elections, to assure that the voting procedures were carried on properly. The branch committee wanted to know if this was permissible for witness attorneys. Remarkably, the governing body ruled that to serve in this manner would not disqualify one as an approved witness, though it is difficult to imagine an assignment that would place one in closer contact and involvement with the political process than this.
Now he starts a new subheading, Generalization and Categorization. Another hallmark of thinking legalistically is the practice of generalizing and categorizing. That is, because certain aspects of a matter are bad, the tendency is to generalize by saying that the whole thing is bad. This is essentially the same kind of unwarranted generalizing which categorizes a whole national or racial group as contaminated because a percentage of individuals within that group or race are guilty of some wrongdoing or wrong attitude. By this generalizing, people of such nationality or race are viewed as criminally inclined or dishonest or lazy and unreliable or greedy and crafty, simply because the whole is judged on the basis of the part. Prejudice is the result, and it betrays shallow thinking. It takes care and judgment to estimate people as individuals, person by person. Lumping them all together in a single category is obviously easier. It is also grossly unfair and illogical.
In governing body discussions, I began to realize to what extent decisions were based on a similar kind of unwarranted generalizing and categorizing. In so many of the policies developed, focus was placed on organizational membership rather than on what an individual actually did or was. If some fault could be found with a part of the particular organization's practices or standards, often the whole organization and everyone in it was condemned and viewed as a taboo area for witnesses.
Yeah, I couldn't help reading this and thinking about that's the way you're trained to think as a witness. It's very shallow thinking, and you do group people. So even in the case of when you read the Old Testament, Israel was automatically attached to unfaithfulness. But you didn't give any thought to the faithful Israelites.
So when you thought of Jews or Israel, you thought of
Scribes, Pharisees,
hypocrites.
hypocrites, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfaithful. The unfaithful nation who practiced idolatry. But you didn't think of Isaiah or Jeremiah or David or
Moses,
or Solomon, or or
Daniel.
Yeah, none of the favorable people are counted in.
Yeah, I often thought during those years of transition from the Watchtower to the church that the Hall of Fame of Faith in Hebrews 11 is almost exclusively made up of Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other faithful people in the world but Israelites, according to Hebrews 11.
Yeah.
And yet you don't think that way when you're a witness.
Our prime example of a faithful Israelite, Jesus.
Jesus himself. So Jesus and the apostles, were they Jews, Israelites?
Yeah.
So this generalization, yes, you are trained to think this way. And that links to another phrase that's very appropriate to the way the Watchtower reasons on a lot of things, and that's guilt by association in the next segment.
Mm-hmm.